All right, so just when we thought that the volatility of the last year or so was over, we had the last week S&P's down below 3,700. I think we were very close to testing the lows year to date. It looks like we got down to 3666 roughly on the S&P in June, and the last week or so, it looks like we got down to we actually went 36.49. So again, we are testing the new lows. We are going to test new lows. The Dow went below 30,000 for the first time since I think the COVID crash. So the S&P is down 22% on the year. The Dow, I don't know what the Dow is down. The Nasdaq's down 30%. I believe we made a new low on the Nasdaq as well. Yes, we definitely did, although we're slightly up to close the week off. So the real question here is, I mean, Bitcoin as well. I don't think Bitcoin actually made a new low. I know it touched below 20,000 US. We're back just below 26,000. Oil also is getting killed. It's almost at a year low. It's the lowest it's been since it looks like January, which is pretty crazy. So again, what's my opinion on this? Again, obviously my opinion. I want to stress that, but um, for starters, I think this is a great time to be buying oil and to be buying Bitcoin. Anytime you get these big dips in oil and in Bitcoin, I'm buying them up because again, I think over the next, I mean, Bitcoin is always going to go up over the long run. Short run, it's going to be incredibly volatile, in my opinion. Oil over the next decade or two is going to do very well, very well. I think it's going to outperform the S&P and the Nasdaq, if you ask me. But again, that you're going to have to be fairly tactical and about going about things because you want to look at the companies, especially ones that are paying nice dividends, right? If you can get like a 7, 8, 9, 10% dividend and get 5, 10% per year growth, yeah, Devon's I think is one of my favorite companies in there. Again, like I say, do your own research, but that's one of my favorite companies. Again, I over the long run, again, nothing fundamental has changed about oil here. This is something that's driven on fears of a recession. But again, this is something that's really funny for me to hear is that people say, oh, oil's going down because people are worried about going into a recession, and it's like, well, technically we're already in a recession. So um, we were already in a recession, right? The only big difference is that unemployment is not it's not where it's typically at in a recession, right? But to be fair, the government is as committed towards propping up the economy as they've ever been. So personally, I still think we do have a little bit lower to go. I think we peak or the low will be between I don't think we go below 3,000 on the S&P. I'd say we'll probably get into 34, 3,500, probably on the high end. I mean, a lot of I know, was it Goldman or was it Chase? I don't remember. One of them recently came out and adjusted their S&P year end estimate for I think it's 35 or 3,600, which is again slightly lower than where we're at. So again, honestly, if I'm being honest, I think that we're probably going to chop right around where we're at for the next 3 to 6 months, and eventually, again, the Fed will pivot at some point, but they may not be as dovish as what people think when they pivot, and that's something that this is the reason why the market went down. I think is that people thought that they were going to be super dovish, but again, it's just going to happen later than what we think. And again, eventually we do go back to QE and rate cuts. Like it's going to happen again at some point. It's just a matter of when. Um, I think it's gonna take longer than what people think. Like, definitely not gonna happen this year. Probably first, second quarter of 2023 is probably when things officially turn around. Um, and I think that'll line up pretty good as well for Bitcoin and oil and stuff like that. So again, in my opinion, now is the perfect time to be buying oil if you don't have a good position already. Bitcoin if you don't have a good position already. And again, there's a lot of stocks as well that are very. There's still a lot of stocks that are very overpriced. I mean, Tesla, like some of these tech stocks are still are still overpriced, right? Um, but again, you got to be very careful. There's some that are very well priced. I think, like I said, oil's a great buy right now. Bitcoin, and again, you look at some of the stocks in the materials and industrial sector too. Some of the metal producers, those are some ones that I think are going to do really well over the next decade or two. They're down, and I think now is a good time to buy. Um, so again, um, at the end of the day, where the market goes is highly dependent upon the Fed, inflation, and the job numbers, right? Inflation is going to stay high for like the days of getting back to 2% inflation. It's not going to happen anytime soon, which means rates are probably going to have to get. I mean, they already are higher than what a lot of people thought. I mean, personally, I didn't think they'd get over 3%, and now it's looking like we're probably going to get 4 to 5%. Um, so again, that's something that is this is what's causing the recent volatility, I think. But again, over the long run, they're going to have to pivot at some point because I don't think it's possible to get rates to 8%, right? I don't see that happening, right? Without a much larger crash than what they're willing to endure. So again, and the other thing too, people saying, "Oh, should you sell? Should you short the market?" Like, no, like, well, I mean, it depends what your goal is. If your goal is trading, I don't know. If I had to bet, like I said, I do think we have some more downside in the short run. Like I said, in the short run. But again, another thing that people don't seem to realize, well, not everyone, but a lot of people don't seem to realize is that when you have sentiment that's as bad as it is right now, it does not take a lot of good news for the market to go up. Again, we've seen that over the last month or two. Again, we got up to what, 4,300 on the S&P, and like it's not as if there was that much good news, right? It's not as if the Fed was saying, yeah, in December or January we're done raising rates, we're gonna start cutting rates or anything. It's not as if they were that dovish, right? So again, this is something people need to keep in mind too, is that things can turn on a hat, just like they can go down on a hat. Things can turn on a hat. So, in my opinion, um, I love seeing stuff like this because this gives you a time to buy more assets at a discount, right? You can buy stuff at a discount. So now is the time, in my opinion, because again, if you're a short-term trader or any of that stuff, again, I don't really. That's not what I do. So do whatever you want to do on that. But my philosophy is I want to buy stuff that's going to do well over the next decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, right? That's my outlook. And again, I don't really face any anxiety over prices going down. I mean, I have positions that are down like 70, 80%. I have positions that are down 50%. I mean, Bitcoin, I don't think I'm down that much, maybe 10, 20%. But it, there no anxiety at all because I know that you're still in good assets, right? That is the key. You need to buy good quality companies. And again, I know people are going to say, "Oh, Bitcoin, or you can't buy anything with it, you can't value it." But it's like, again, um, the financial system is going to change. Like there needs to be change, and if there is legitimate change, Bitcoin's going to be the biggest beneficiary of it. If there isn't legitimate change, then we're screwed anyway. So Bitcoin is a win-win scenario in my mind, in that if things do change and it's for the better, Bitcoin will win. If it doesn't, if it changes for the worst, everything's gonna lose out anyway, right? So who cares if you're gonna lose no matter what you do anyway? Well, why would you care, right? So that's my philosophy on Bitcoin. And again, Bitcoin is I mean it's superior to gold, right? And then gold has a what $9 trillion market cap. So in my opinion, minimum it has another 15x upside, right? So again, we're going to see half a million dollar Bitcoin within the next 10 or 20 years, in my opinion, right? So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up today. Like I said, now I think is the perfect time to be buying. But again, you want to make sure what you're buying is actually cheap because there's a lot of stuff out there that still is expensive, namely a lot of the tech stuff. Like I say, your Teslas, and a lot of these companies, they're good companies. So like Tesla's a decent company, but it's grossly overvalued, right? So again, you got to buy stuff when it's fairly valued or preferably below value. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up today. If you liked the video, hit that like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more.